Well, first, if you could tell us a bit about your background and journey from foodie Scots Italian family to your current position in the Edinburgh restaurant scene.
Oh my goodness, what a beginning. All stemmed from my grandparents and Carina's grandparents coming over from the Abruzzi mountains. My grandparents came over in 1914 and hers in 1920. And when they sort of came over to Britain, landed at Dover, went to London, and the main thing there was it was saturated with Italians. Oh my gosh. So they decided, right, let's move up. So they decided to move up further north. And when they came into Bonnie, Scotland, settled in, came to Edinburgh, they thought, wow, what a place. The people are so friendly, they're so family orientated, and that's how we were sort of originally, my parents started here. So it was a long journey, but it was a lovely journey. And that's why we are sort of embedded in the sort of the Scottish roots here.
Were you always destined to go into the food industry, or did you ever consider doing anything else?
Gosh, yes, at school I went to St Mary's Primary School, then on to Holyrood Secondary School, Roman Catholic Secondary School, and there I wanted to be, I think the initial steps was a priest, believe it or not, and I thought maybe not, because I did like girls a lot, so I thought, right, the girls, that did it for me, so no longer a priest. And then it was my sciences. I was very good at sciences, and in particular biology and chemistry. So I wanted to be a lab technician. But there was a lovely teacher there. I remember him very well, and he advised me. He said, "Listen, lab technicians, and well, certainly in those days, didn't pay very much. So he said, you have to be a lab technician for a long time before you step up the ladder." And I thought, he says, "Listen, Victor, I'll put you off. I would do what you do well. You know food." And I said, well, not those days wine, but that was a later stage. But certainly, he says, "You know food, and you're good at talking to the customers. He says, go into the food business." And that's how it started.
What is it like running your restaurants alongside your wife?
Well, really, we've been together, proper together in 2004, and it's a labour of love. It has to be. With the woman that you love, the woman that has had your children, and also in business, it can be tricky at times. Believe me, we've had our arguments, shall we say, off camera, but it's over 22 years now. We're still together. We still love each other very much, and it's great fun. It is good fun because she has many talents and interests within the business, as I have. So sometimes we don't even cross. We might see each other in the morning when we do before we do the school run. And then that's about it. And then we might see each other all day because we're so busy doing things in the business. And then we'll meet again in the evening when I come home after service.
You in your restaurants, you're very focused on Scottish and Italian produce. So could you tell us a bit more about that, as well as your garden?
Oh right, okay. The reason on the produce front, we're absolutely passionate about produce and where it comes from. With Contini Ristorante, formerly known as 103, when we opened in 2004, from day one we imported produce from the Milan market, and that is the biggest market in Europe and certainly in Italy, and all the produce from all over Italy goes to Milan, and it's sort of ciphered all the way through. The fresh mozzarella di bufala, fresh burrata from Puglia, our prosciutto, salame, all our vegetables, our tomatoes, our aubergines. That's Italian grown. That's where our Italian ethos comes into play. certainly with all our fish and our meat, that's all Scottish. But you know, that is where originally we got our passion from. And then with our Scottish restaurants, the National Gallery was next on the list, and that came to fruition because Carina was passionate about Scottish produce, and especially in the National Gallery, it had to be one thing and one thing only, was Scottish produce. So all the produce we use in the National Gallery, from our organic vegetables, again our fish and our meat, our rapeseed oil, we don't even use olive oil, that's all sourced from Scotland. And then Cannonball Restaurant, again, is our ethos is in Scottish produce. And again, same producers, same suppliers. We've got over like 70 suppliers in Scotland that we buy direct from. But we love it, absolutely passionate. The garden came to fruition when we started our herb garden just outside the Scottish Cafe in the gardens. And we thought, okay, if we can grow herbs out here, how easy it would be to grow our own vegetables. And that's how that came to fruition. We've got a 1 acre piece of land which we converted into a kitchen garden out at Last Wade. And that is, again, a labour of love, because Kerry, our lovely gardener, liaises with the chefs in all the 3 restaurants, and the produce is seasonal, and she will grow produce for the chefs at certain times of year according to the menus. And that's, you know, that for us to actually see it go in the ground and grow, and then either I'll bring it in once it's been harvested, or Carina will bring it in, or even sometimes Kerry brings it in during the high season, up to maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And in general we do about 30% of all the growing produce from the garden. I mean, literally we'd be cutting in the morning, and then I'd bring it by 11:30, 12 o'clock, and it's in the kitchen, and we're actually using it for lunch, and then obviously for dinner as well. You know, it could be anything from pea shoots to rhubarb to chard, lots of herbs as well, strawberries, raspberries, berries, beans, so many different, Jerusalem artichokes as well we've grown, so many different types of, but it's all specialised for each of the chefs in the kitchen.
Okay, so at 5 p.m. we have the Contini Ristorante, Contini Cannonball, which is where we are right now, and the Scottish Cafe and Restaurant. And can you tell me how they each differ and what you can expect from each of them?
The rest, with the Contini Ristorante in George Street, that was our baby, as it were, our first one. That's our roots. That was started because of our Italian connection and our Italian roots, with the fresh produce from Milan every week, and just the whole ethos. Our wine list is all Italian. Our team are mainly Italian, in the kitchen anyway, and on the floor as well. And there's just our passion for Italy. Although Carina and I were both born here in Scotland, which we love, but you know, it's in your blood, it's in your roots, and we love just being there and having that expression of ourselves and showing it to our customers. The Scottish Cafe and Restaurant was born through Carina's passion for Scottish produce, because being born in Edinburgh but living in Contini on the East Coast, that Scottish influence was born through friends and coming to the house. Although we're an Italian family, she was brought up in a lot of Scottish food, and especially a lovely lady called Margaret used to do a lot for the family, and she used to prepare a lot of Scottish dishes, and that's where Carina's Scottishness has come from. And also with the galleries, for being there in the National Gallery of Scotland, had to be Scottish produce, and that's where that was born from. And we do classics like Cull and Skink, fish and chips, haggis, neeps and tatties, the classic Scottish dishes, which are phenomenally popular with Scots and tourists alike. And then after that was born Cannonball. And again, an iconic building, Cannonball House, right at the top of the Royal Mile, the only restaurant in Scotland that faces the castle. How good is that? So again, it had to be Scottish produce. And out of that was born more specialist Scottish dishes, more venison, more game, seafood, lobster, oysters, and that is again for us iconic Scottish dishes. But there are 3 different restaurants, 3 different menus, and they're all our menus are seasonal. They change very regularly, monthly, and that's just goes to prove that we really we love the seasons, and we love artisanal produce from Italy and from Scotland, and we're very proud to cook and prepare that for our customers and ultimately eat it. That's the star thing, isn't it? Eating it.